I married my crush's elder brother, and I faked frigidness to turn down physical intimacy time and again. When Silas went to take a cold shower yet again, I saw bullet comments popping up.
This female supporting character is so disgusting. She married the hero's elder brother, but still can't forget the hero. Poor hero's elder brother. He's even better endowed than the hero, yet he's frustrated every single day. When the hero's elder brother finds out she's pining for his younger brother in vain, he'll divorce her for sure. After the divorce, she'll do something stupid and drug the hero, burning the last of her ex-husband's affection for her, and end up in a miserable state.
Just then, Silas walked out of the bathroom suddenly. I raised a box of condoms tremblingly. "Honey, let's do it." Silas's eyes darkened a little. A thick bath towel wrapped his lower body, hiding any outline. But I just felt his gaze was dangerous. I plucked up the courage and tore open the box with shaking hands. Honey, shall we?" Silas let out a breath, stepped toward me, and snatched the box from my hand in one move. There was no emotion on his face. His gesture of patting my head was stiff too.
Iris, don't force yourself.
After saying that, he tucked the quilt and my nightgown around me properly. Then he went to sleep in the guest bedroom. But the moment Silas turned around, I clearly caught a glimpse of what was beneath the bath towel. The master bedroom door slammed shut. I stared at the ceiling and sighed. The bullet comments I'd just seen flashing through my mind. A wave of fear washed over my heart. It was true that I'd always liked Silas's younger brother Jasper. I thought I'd hidden it well. But those bullet comments knew the secret I'd buried deep in my heart all along. Could it be? Everything the bullet comments said was true? I was just a spoiled, annoying female supporting character. And Jasper was the male lead, destined never to be mine? The thought made my heart ache a little. Back then, to marry into the Lou family, I'd resorted to a cheap trick and spiked someone's drink. I never expected the waiter who delivered the wine to mix up the two Lou brothers. By a strange twist of fate, I slept with Silas. After that, he offered to take responsibility and marry me. My father, who'd finally climbed the social ladder to the Lou family, was over the moon and agreed at once. The only one who was unhappy was me. I cried and went to find Jasper, telling him I loved him. He looked at me with a complicated expression and said,
Iris, we can never be together.
I had no choice but to obey my father and marry Silas. After the marriage, I found out Silas had an incredibly strong sexual drive. Whenever he didn't work overtime, he'd climb into bed promptly at 10 o'clock. Then he'd lean close to me from behind, his breath brushing my ear.
Can we, today?
But the first time had left me with PTSD, so I had to pretend to be frigid. Every time Silas stared at me with that hazy gaze, my whole body would go weak and tremble. But without exception, I'd push his arm away and shake my head. Silas would reply in a strained voice.
All right, I'll go rinse off.
He never said what he was going to do in the bathroom. And I never asked. But we both knew perfectly well. It wasn't that I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. It was that in the second month of our marriage, Jasper suddenly sent me vague hints, which gave me new hope. I couldn't help but wonder, did Jasper have a little crush on me too? Coupled with the PTSD from that first time, I started refusing Silas blatantly. But now, the bullet comments had shattered my illusions. Jasper was the male lead, and I was just a female supporting character. Then where was the female lead? Forget it, she didn't matter. What mattered was that I'd end up in utter misery. The thought made me shiver, as if I could already see my tragic end. The next day, I woke up and found a glass of honey water on the nightstand. A note was pressed under the cup. Silas's handwriting was as restrained as ever.
Something came up at the company. Breakfast is on the table. I may be home late tonight. No need to wait for me.
I stared at that note for a long time. A year of marriage. He'd been like this every single day. No matter how late I stayed up, there was always a glass of honey water when I got up early. No matter how cold I was to him the night before, He was still as gentle as ever the next day. Sometimes I even wondered if this man had a temper at all. But I knew deep down that he did. He just buried it all in those cold showers. I stared at the glass of water. An inexplicable tightness welled up in my chest. The bullet comments said I'd burned through the last of Silas's affection for me. So how much did he have left now?
The hero's elder brother is such a good man. It's a pity he's just a foil for the hero. Does no one think this repressed, self-restrained older man is utterly irresistible? Law. One taste of bliss, then a lifetime of celibacy. When you're feeling stressed, just look at the hero's elder brother's pants zipper.
An inexplicable guilt washed over me out of nowhere. Silas was only 5 years older than me. How was he an older man? I grumbled inwardly at those bullet commenters, while unconsciously sticking up for Silas. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Silas came home. He stood at the entrance changing his shoes. He froze for a moment when he saw me sitting on the sofa.
Why didn't you go back to the bedroom?
I clenched the throw pillow in my hands, trying my best to make my expression look natural. I said concisely, "Waiting for you." Silas's movements of changing his shoes paused. He looked up at me. There was something in his eyes I couldn't read. I hurried to add, "That? Have you eaten?" "I made some noodles." I regretted it the moment I said it. Since we got married, Silas had never let me step into the kitchen. I just pulled out condoms last night, and today I was cooking for him like a good wife. No one but a fool would miss such obvious ingratiation. Silas's gaze fell on the bowl of noodles on the dining table, which looked terrible. He fell into an eerie silence for a few seconds. I thought he'd politely refuse, but he suddenly said, "All right." I watched Silas sit down at the dining table and finish that bowl of noodles bite by bite. I sat opposite him. My palms were sweating nervously at the thought of what was going to happen that night. After the last bite, Silas put down his chopsticks and looked up at me. "Iris died. Etchum? What's wrong with you?" Silas was the kind of strikingly handsome man with sharp features. Being stared at by him gave people an inexplicable sense of being invaded. Caught off guard by his gaze, my heart skipped a beat violently. I quickly said, "And nothing's wrong." Silas didn't say a word. He just stared at me quietly. That gaze made me feel completely exposed. I thought of him fighting his desires last night, and of the bullet comment that said I'd end up miserable. I gritted my teeth and took the plunge. "Honey. Tonight, let's sleep together." The air fell silent for a few seconds. Silas lowered his eyes. I suddenly couldn't read the emotions in his eyes. But the bullet comments were popping up like crazy.
Huh, wait a minute. Why did the female supporting character suddenly change her tune? Wasn't she foolishly thinking the hero liked her and saving herself for him? The female supporting character is asking for physical intimacy. She seems to have forgotten the frigid persona she set up. Lol.
My fingers trembled when I read the second comment. So Jasper didn't like me at all? Then why did he say those ambiguous things that made me misunderstand? I was staring at the bullet comments in a daze, when Silas's voice suddenly rang in my ear.
Iris, don't force yourself. I'll always respect you about this kind of thing.
A twitch formed between my eyebrows. An inexplicable guilt surged in my heart. It was me who spiked the drink back then, making Silas drink it by mistake. That was why he was forced to marry me. After the marriage, because of my foolish infatuation with Jasper, I left him sleeping alone every night. I was in the wrong from start to finish in this matter. But Silas still thought I was the one who was wronged. He was still thinking of me. Like how he quietly solved the troubles from my father's side for me, how he took care of everything that might ruin my mood. I suddenly thought I was blind. Silas stepped closer suddenly, took my hand and examined it carefully for a few seconds, then blew on a tiny scratch on my index finger.
Don't touch a knife again from now on. If you really want to cook, I'll find someone to teach you, okay?
I nodded silently. Silas led me back to the bedroom. I lay down and stared at him. When I saw he was about to go back to the guest bedroom, I couldn't help but say, Can't you really stay with me? Silas's footsteps paused. After a long time, he said slowly.
I'll go get my night clothes.
I listened to the sounds from the bathroom boredly. I didn't know how long it was before Silas came out. He lay down next to me, as still as a corpse. I inched closer to him sneakily. Silas suddenly said,
Get some rest early.
just a platonic sleep. The bullet comments exploded again.
Bro, your wife's legs are practically begging for attention. Are you just gonna ignore it? Why did he stay in the bathroom for half an hour? So hard to guess. Suspected to be paying homage to Plato. Don't make the repressed man laugh.
Even though Silas refused me, I knew he was just holding back. But then again, Rome wasn't built in a day, and a cold day can't be thawed in a single morning. For a whole year, I'd been faking frigidness. It was no wonder Silas would overthink such a sudden change. After thinking it over carefully, I told Aunt Joyce to prepare lunch early, and planned to take it to Silas at his company. If I stopped being difficult and acted as a good wife to Silas, then I should be able to avoid the miserable end the bullet comments talked about, right? It was nearly noon when I arrived at the company, and someone recognized me at once. I carried the lunchbox to Silas's office. He seemed to be in a meeting. I sat on the sofa boredly waiting for him. The door suddenly opened. I stood up subconsciously, casting an expectant glance at the door. The next second, my expression froze. It was Jasper. The bullet comments became lively the moment he appeared.
Here comes the poor hero, who suffered a lot with his mother since he was a child, and finally returned to the Liu family, but is not valued by his father. The hero is still just a department manager, because he's an illegitimate child. Exactly. He's obviously very capable, but he's always being overshadowed by his brother. Oh well, it's okay. Later, when the hero rises to power, the female lead will help him, and he'll get what he deserves.
In the blink of an eye, Jasper walked up to me. He calmly took in the change in my expression. He smiled and said,
Are you unhappy to see me, Iris?
My ears heated up when I heard that nickname out of the blue. It was the nickname he used to call me all the time. He hadn't called me that much since I married Silas. But today, he suddenly did it again. I kept my distance and said, Don't call me that, I'm your elder brother's wife now. If what the bullet comments said was true, my tragic end all stemmed from not knowing my place and lacking a sense of propriety. Then keeping my bottom line now was also saving myself. But Jasper's face darkened at once after he heard it.
Is that so? You used to hate this identity so much, and now you're rushing over to bring him lunch. Have you fallen for Silas?
His sarcastic tone stung me. It wasn't that I had fallen for him completely, but Silas was indeed a very good man. When I didn't say a word, Jasper's tone became even more anxious.
Didn't you say you'd do anything for me? Then will you help me put this in Silas's study?
I lowered my head. A small bugging device lay quietly in Jasper's palm. I was a little confused. I didn't quite understand what Jasper meant. The bullet comments shared my confusion.
Huh? What is the hero trying to do? Play dirty? Is this how the hero in the original novel became the head of the Liu family? Actually, the hero didn't do anything wrong. He just wants to make a name for himself too much, to get his father's recognition too badly.
I didn't take the bugging device. Jasper stuffed it into my bag directly. I froze for a few seconds, then immediately tried to fish it out of my bag and return it to him. But Jasper suddenly pressed my hand down. Iris, you don't want to see me being suppressed in the Liu family forever, do you? His voice was low, with a hint of helplessness. Big brother has everything, family property, status, and you. But what about me?
I only have you.
I looked up and met Jasper's eyes filled with supposed deep affection. I had to admit, it looked real. Just like the way he looked at me when I loved him back then.
The hero is putting on an act again. This trick has fooled the female supporting character 800 times. Every time the female supporting character wavers, the hero pulls this stunt. He really treats her like a fool. Haven't you noticed? The hero only acts affectionate when he needs to use the female supporting character.
My heart jolted violently. So all those hot and cold treatment from Jasper over the past year, all those hints that made me think he liked me too, were only because I could be used by him. I pulled my hand out from under Jasper's and stepped back a step. A look of astonishment flashed across Jasper's face.
Iris.
My voice was soft. Jasper, I can't help you. Jasper's eyes turned cold in an instant. He stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. A sinister smile that was hard to describe.
Iris, do you really think Silas is a good man?
He married you only because he had to take responsibility for sleeping with you.
Do you really think he likes an illegitimate daughter like you?
Everyone could use the fact that I was an illegitimate daughter to hurt me. But Jasper couldn't. Because he'd also grown up being whispered about. More importantly, he knew how I'd been locked outside the door in the heavy snow by my elder brothers and sister when I was a child. If Jasper hadn't saved me, I would have probably frozen to death. Tears suddenly pricked my eyes. I saw Jasper raise his hand flusteredly, as if he wanted to wipe away my tears. The moment his fingertips were about to touch me, the office door suddenly opened. It was Silas. Silas had obviously just finished the meeting. He stood at the door and stared at Jasper and me for half a second. I stepped back a few steps abruptly and wiped my tears by myself. Silas slowly moved his gaze from me to Jasper, who looked displeased.
Go to the third meeting room for the meeting.
Jasper left. Silas and I were the only ones left in the huge office. But an inexplicable sense of oppression washed over me. He saw everything just now, didn't he? What would Silas think? Would he misunderstand? My mind was flooded with guesses, but Silas just took off his suit jacket and sat down on the sofa.
Aunt Joy said you came to bring me lunch. Do you want to eat a little with me?
I lowered my eyes, hiding my emotions. Silas didn't ask. He didn't even care why I'd been crying just now. I forced a smile and said, I've already eaten. I want to go home first. Silas was silent for a few seconds, looked at me deeply, and said slowly,
All right. Take care.
On the way home, the bullet comments were arguing fiercely.
Why won't the female supporting character help the hero? All the women in this novel are supposed to like the hero. Huh? Isn't this a woman's novel? Why does everything revolve around the hero? Exactly. But I really don't understand the female supporting character's actions. Why does she like the hero so much? Just because they're both illegitimate children? Too much empathy.
I couldn't hold it in any longer, and not caring if the bullet commenters could hear me, I looked up and shouted at the air. Because he saved me in the snow when I was a child. The driver was startled by me, but he had to pretend not to hear and kept driving. The bullet comments exploded.
Pumpkin 66, she's interacting with us. Wrong, sister. It was Silas who saved you. Oh my god, the female supporting character doesn't know it was the hero's elder brother who saved her when she was a child. No wonder she likes the hero, even though the two brothers look so different. I thought the female supporting character was paying homage to Wang Bao Chuan.
Such a sharp tongue. But it woke me up. Was it Silas who saved me? Silas worked overtime today and didn't get home until 9 o'clock. I still asked him to sleep with me. Silas agreed. I wanted to casually ask him about the thing that happened when we were children, but Silas was acting like a corpse again, not saying a single word. I plucked up the courage and inched closer to him slowly. My hand had just touched his arm, when Silas suddenly spoke.
Iris, you still like Jasper, don't you?
What did he mean? Did Silas know all along that I'd like Jasper? Before I could ask, his deep, unquestionable voice rang out again.
If it's really that hard for you, we can get a divorce by agreement.
As soon as the words left his mouth, the bedroom fell into dead silence. The bullet comments were as shocked as I was.
Why is the hero's elder brother suddenly asking for a divorce? That's not how it was written in the original novel. Could it be that the female supporting character stopped being difficult and triggered a butterfly effect? It's also possible that the hero's elder brother can't stand the female supporting character anymore, holding back every day is going to drive someone crazy. No, if the female supporting character gets a divorce now, who will help the hero eavesdrop on confidential information? That's the chip the hero uses to turn the tables later.
I froze for several minutes straight. Silas wanted a divorce? Ever since I saw the bullet comments, I'd been doing my best to avoid this ending. But now, I clearly hadn't done what the bullet comments said I would. I hadn't put the bugging device in Silas's study. I even found out it was him who saved me when I was a child and saw through Jasper's selfish true colors. But Silas took the initiative to ask for a divorce. Was it really like the bullet comments said? That he couldn't stand me anymore? When people are in extreme panic, their brains go blank. Even though I didn't know exactly what I was afraid of, my heart ached inexplicably when I heard the word divorce. A numb, sour feeling spread from the bottom of my heart, making my fingers lose all feeling. I raised my hand subconsciously to unbutton my nightgown. My brain was working sluggishly. I didn't care about any persona anymore. I didn't want to like that hypocrite Jasper anymore either. I'd give Silas anything he wanted. But the next second, my hand unbuttoning the buttons was wrapped in a warm big palm. My cold numb fingertips began to warm up. It was Silas who stopped me. He frowned tightly.
What are you doing?
My throat was tight, and I could barely speak. But my gaze fell on the third shelf of the nightstand. Inside were unopened boxes of extra-large condoms. Silas followed my gaze, and his face turned black at once. He said each word clearly.
Is that how you see me?
After saying that, Silas buttoned my nightgown back up for me and got out of bed. But this time, he didn't go to the bathroom. He went back to his own bedroom. A belated sense of shame and embarrassment washed over me. Even though I hated to admit it, what I'd just done was indeed an attempt to keep him with my body. But Silas, it seemed, wasn't buying it. So, did he really just loathe me? It took me a long time to fall asleep after Silas left. I had a dream about the past. In the dream, I saw my father fall in love with my mother at first sight when she was in an art troupe. Money, flowers, courtship. My mother dismissed it all. Perhaps it was the man's fragile self-esteem or his sickening desire to conquer. He resorted to dirty means against my mother. He pulled her down from the spotlight, making her unable to dance ever again. He kept my mother as a caged bird with his money and power. Maybe it was compromise, maybe it was resignation. My mother gave birth to me, planning to live a good life with my father. On the day of my full-month feast, a richly dressed woman burst in and cursed my mother for being shameless. That's when my mother found out that my father had cheated on his wife. From then on, my mother broke down completely. After my father was taken away by my grandmother, my mother's mental state became unstable. She hit me, throwing everything she could get her hands on at me. It hurt, but I didn't blame her. I knew she was a victim too. We were mother and daughter, bound by the same blood. We had a common enemy, that disgusting, despicable man. When I was 10 years old, my mother died. Even after her death, people wouldn't let her rest, calling her a madwoman. And I was taken back to the Jiang family, becoming an illegitimate daughter. I had 2 elder brothers and an elder sister above me. They bullied me, hit me, cursed me. I told my father, but he didn't care at all. But he didn't know that a child's feelings are fragile things that need to be cherished carefully. He smashed my heart to pieces with his careless, vicious words. Then he turned around and blamed me for being too sensitive, too petty. Gradually, I stopped saying anything. Until that year, it snowed heavily in Beijing, a snowfall not seen in years. My 2 elder brothers locked me outside the door for fun. I seemed to see my mother coming to pick me up. I thought, if mother was waiting for me on the other side, then death would no longer be something to fear. But it was a teenager who came before mother. He banged on the door to no avail, so he carried me on his back to the car instead. He took me to the hospital, trying his best to warm me with his body the whole way. When I woke up again, the first person I saw was Jasper. I watched the me in the dream like an outsider. That pale little girl looked at Jasper as if he was a god. I wanted to go over and yell at this fool, but she couldn't hear anything. I watched helplessly as I fell for Jasper step by step, loving him in vain. At the end of the dream, the world turned completely black. I stumbled around like a traveler without a destination. A deep voice jolted me awake like a thunderclap.
Iris, let's get a divorce.
When I woke up, it was nearly noon. When I went downstairs, I heard Aunt Joyce say, "Sir has gone on a business trip. He left at 8 o'clock and told me not to wake you up." My eyes darkened, and I stared at the table full of delicious food but had no appetite at all. Had Silas really gone on a business trip? Was he avoiding me? Or did he really have work to do? After lunch, I received a call from Jasper.
Iris, you didn't put the bugging device in the study, did you?
Once upon a time, hearing Jasper's voice would feel like a ray of comfort in my oppressive married life. But now, after seeing Jasper's hypocrisy, selfishness, and despicableness, I only felt disgusted. I answered honestly. No, I threw it away. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the phone, then a sarcastic laugh suddenly rang out. Jasper let out a long breath, his tone laced with coaxing.
Iris, don't you like me anymore? When I get the inheritance rights, I'll be with you, okay? We're both illegitimate children. No one is more suitable for each other than us, right?
Hearing the words, illegitimate child, again still made my chest tight. I said calmly,
Silas is capable and decisive, and the Liu family is thriving under his management. You can live a worry-free life with just your shares. Why do you have to fight for something that doesn't belong to you?
Jasper seemed to tear off his gentle mask completely.
Something that doesn't belong to me? How do you know the inheritance rights can't be mine? Just because I'm an illegitimate child, I deserve to be suppressed by Silas for the rest of my life? Why?
The bullet comments became lively at once.
This guy's sense of entitlement is even worse than annulling wrongs. His face is so thick that a knife would have to cut a gash in it. I can't take it anymore. I want to beat this man to death. Suddenly feeling fired up for no reason. So weird. Did they not wipe out all the cultists when getting rid of the 3 evils?
Jasper suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. Then he let out a soft laugh and said with certainty,
I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. This world revolves around me.
My brain short-circuited for a moment. What did he mean? Did Jasper know he was the male lead? Before I could think about it, the bullet comments exploded first.
The hero has awakened. It all makes sense now. No wonder he's using bugging devices and stealing confidential information. He thinks he's the chosen one, and luck will be on his side. Does no one say it? This hero is so disgusting. So the hero, knowing he's the center of the world, has become lazy and wants to reap the rewards without sowing, so he's resorted to extreme measures and didn't take the steady path as written in the original novel? Above, exactly.
Jasper and I ended the call on bad terms. He warned me not to regret it at the end of the call. The thing I regret the most right now is not seeing through Jasper's true colors earlier. It wasn't long after I hung up the phone that Silas suddenly sent me a message. He had probably just gotten off the plane.
About what I said last night, you can think about it carefully. I know marrying me has wronged you, and I don't want you to spend the rest of your life pining for someone you can't have.
The depressed mood dissipated the moment I saw the message. I was about to reply at once, I don't want a divorce. The next second, another message from Silas popped up.
No need to hurry with the answer. I'll wait for you to think it over, and we'll talk face to face when I get back.
Staring at those words, I could almost imagine how he sounded when he said them. He must have looked at me earnestly, with a tolerant tone. After thinking about it, I calmed down my mood too. I replied seriously.
All right.
He respected me, and I had to respect him too. It was mutual.
Don't stay cooped up at home. Go out for a walk more. I'll be back in about a week. Message me anytime if something comes up.
A smile tugged at the corner of my mouth, one I didn't even notice. I sent a cat emoji making an okay gesture.
Waiting for you.
For the next week, Jasper called me more than once. But I hung up every time. I used to like him just because I was blind, plus the deep filter of thinking he'd saved me when I was a child. Now I didn't want to have anything to do with him at all. I even felt a physical aversion to him. Just as Silas said, I didn't stay at home. Instead, I went out shopping. When I was shopping, I saw a lot of nice ties. I imagined Silas wearing them, and couldn't help but blush. But I thought every single one was nice when I picked and chose. So I splurged and bought more than 20 of them. I planned to give them to him as an apology gift after he came back and we had a good talk. But the first news that came back was bad news about Silas. He'd been in a car accident. After hearing the news, I hurried to the airport and took a plane to Country A. After landing, I rushed to the hospital. My heart, which had been in my throat the whole way, finally settled when I saw Silas sitting safely on the hospital bed handling documents. After the panic, an inexplicable sense of fear and grievance washed over me. Silas looked up suddenly, stunned.
Iris?
I sniffled and walked toward him step by step. Tears still fell when I saw the bandage on his head. Silas pushed his laptop away, a rare look of fluster crossing his face.
How did you know? Why didn't you tell me? Good girl, stop crying, okay?
I knew I couldn't put too much pressure on a patient. So I forced a casual smile. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you wouldn't let me come, right? Silas looked at me with a complicated gaze. Something was brewing in his eyes, threatening to spill out. But he seemed to hold it back and said nothing. After asking about his condition briefly, I said, "Why did the car accident happen suddenly?" Silas, who had answered all my questions fluently just now, fell silent all of a sudden. But the bullet comments answered for me.
I'm so pissed off. The hero has no bottom line at all. He even bribed his brother's driver. Yeah, that's his own blood brother, and he could deliberately cause a car accident. The hero and that driver are two of a kind, both scum. So, this is just the beginning, but according to the original novel, the hero's elder brother will really break a leg in the future. Wasn't it because of the female supporting character that he broke it? Yes, and he even lost the inheritance rights because of that leg. The female supporting character is like a jinx. Oh my god, above. Stop with the hero worshipping. Besides, the female supporting character can see the bullet comments. How can you say that to her face?
I stared in a daze for a long time, unable to recover. Silas would break a leg because of me in the future? And he'd lose his right to inherit the Liu family? A sharp pain shot through my heart. Imagining Silas, that man who was like a man of the world, falling into the mire, the image cut through my heart like a knife. It hurt so bad. Silas didn't deserve this. He should be like a wild goose flying high above the clouds. Not someone who could be trampled on by someone like Jasper. A jinx. It was true. When I was a child, my mother lived a miserable life because of me. When I went back to the Jiang family, everyone rejected and loathed me. Even my father said it was because my fate was bad, that I'd cursed away his good fortune and made the Jiang family decline. And now, I'd make Silas fall from grace in the future. I suddenly laughed at myself. Wasn't I just a jinx? A person like me, what right did I have to stay by Silas's side? How could I deserve his kindness? I thought. If I wasn't by his side, would he be safe and sound? Once the thought popped up, it grew like a vine, wild and unruly. I looked up and forced a smile. It's okay, don't say it if you don't want to. During my stay in the hospital, I stayed by Silas's side every step of the way. When he handled work, I sat beside him and looked at my phone. When he ate, I picked up food for him. When he slept, I lay on the edge of the bed and watched over him. Until the third day, Silas finally couldn't take it anymore. Iris. His tone was always soft, as if he was afraid of scaring a small animal. I looked up. Silas stared at me, his eyes complex.
You don't have to do this.
I froze for a moment. Do what?
Ingratiate yourself with me.
He said it calmly, but I found it inexplicably cruel.
I said you can think about the divorce carefully. I won't force you.
I opened my mouth, wanting to explain something. But the words died on my lips. What could I say? That I wasn't ingratiating myself, just atoning for my sins. That I knew I'd make him break a leg in the future, so I wanted to be good to him before I left? Or that I was making up for my past mistakes? In the end, I just smiled. I'm not ingratiating myself with you. I just want to stay with you. Silas was silent for a few seconds. Then he reached out and ruffled my hair gently. All right. Silas's head injury healed quickly. Just as he finished his work, we decided to return to China at once. Life back home was peaceful. Silas went to work as usual. He didn't mention the divorce again. I didn't mention sleeping together again either. It was as if we'd gone back to the polite, distant state we were in when we first got married. But I knew this all had to come to an end. That night, after dinner, I planned to ask him to go for a walk outside. But Silas suddenly called me to stop and said,
Can we talk?
My heart sank. Sure enough. What was supposed to come, finally came. We sat opposite each other on the sofa. For a moment, neither of us spoke. It was Silas who broke the silence first.
What have you decided?
I fell silent. I clearly already had the answer in my heart, but at this moment, I still couldn't say it. Maybe it was because deep down I still didn't want a divorce, or maybe it was because Silas was too good, and I couldn't bring myself to say something that would hurt him. When I didn't say a word for a long time, he seemed to guess something. Silas took a deep breath and stood up suddenly. I stared as he took out a document. It was a divorce agreement, with clear words written on it. Silas said,
If you don't want to say it, then let me. After the divorce, I'll give you 50 million yuan, plus 3 houses in the city center. They're my personal investments, with great appreciation potential in the future.
His voice was calm, but I inexplicably heard a hint of tremor in it. Was it an illusion? Silas was silent for a few seconds, then suddenly said,
Is it for Jasper?
His eyes darkened a little, and a faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth.
Forget it, that's your freedom. I respect you, and I'll let go.
My heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly by someone. I looked up at Silas suddenly. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I saw Silas sigh, raise his hand and wipe away my tears. Iris.
Don't look at me like that, or I'll start to think that maybe you don't want to leave me.
The next day, I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Silas to apply for a divorce, my eyes still swollen from crying. After coming out, I stared at the divorce receipt. Silas seemed to misunderstand and said,
The state stipulates a 30-day cooling-off period. If you want to move out, I'll ask someone to help you.
I shook my head. It's not about the 30-day cooling-off period. It was just. I never thought the fate between Silas and me would come so fast and end so soon. When I married him with extreme reluctance back then, how could I have imagined that I'd also fallen for him? This time, Silas didn't wipe my tears for me. He just handed me a tissue distantly.
I don't mean to rush you to move out. Stop crying. Your eyes are already so swollen.
I'll move to an apartment near the company these days. Is that okay with you? I shook my head. Come back and live here. This is your house after all. Silas said.
All right.
Even though he said that, he didn't do it. Silas never came back at all. That's when I truly understood the meaning of divorce. It meant this person was cut out of my world completely, from head to toe. I had no right to care about him and no right to question him. On the 10th day of staying at home alone, I saw bullet comments for the first time in a long while.
Damn this hypocritical author. Take the criticism of worshipping men, and you even dare to disable comments. I'm falling apart. I finally get to continue following the story, and the female supporting character got a divorce. The original novel is just a man-worshipping novel wrapped in a feminist coat by the author. The focus of the whole book isn't on the female lead's growth and highlights, but all on the hero fighting for the family property, turning the female lead into a foil and an appendage, and making a good women's novel into a harem novel for men. In essence, The original plot is a loser's counterattack story. I really laugh. Silas received air education since he was a child and grew into the backbone of the Liu family under high pressure, while the so-called male lead Jasper was praised for even peeing far when he was a child. Do you really think he can snatch the Liu family from his brother? This guy is insignificant at the start, empty at the end. His dignity is fragile, and his emotions are easily hurt. I declare the elder brother is the new male lead. Who supports it? Who opposes it? I support it. The moment the female supporting character changed her ways after seeing the bullet comments, she became the female lead herself.
I stared at the bullet comments in a daze. I tried to think with my brain that had been rusty for 10 days. So, would Silas still break his leg? Would he still lose his right to inherit the Liu family? The thought startled me at once. The first person I cared about was not myself? The bullet comments chattered on.
Female lead. Say something. I know you can see us. Stop calling her female supporting character. Call her female lead.
I stared at the bullet comments. Tears suddenly pricked my eyes. So I could also not be a jinx. So I could also be called the female lead.
Female lead, you're so stupid. Why did you get a divorce? Your husband is setting a trap to catch the culprit. Wow. Is Silas going to start his counterattack? It turns out he didn't know Jasper was playing tricks. He was just waiting for the right moment. Now Jasper is going to be in big trouble. Jasper, come back from your business trip quickly. Your brother said he'll turn a blind eye. Only it's through a magnifying glass. That's a sniper rifle, damn it.
I couldn't hold it in and let out my first laugh in a long time. I thought it over carefully. It suddenly dawned on me that Jasper, thinking he was the male lead, had begun to indulge in the so-called halo and luck recklessly. But he forgot, some things are both causes and effects. Fate is always fair. If you plant evil causes, don't expect to reap good fruits. You may think you're the protagonist, but reality won't play along with your act. The news of Jasper's arrest spread officially 3 days later. I scrolled through my phone and saw the headline of a financial media outlet.
The internal strife of the Liu group comes to an end. The younger brother is arrested in accordance with the law on suspicion of hiring a killer to murder his elder brother.
The comment section was in an uproar. Some said he was vicious and ambitious. Some said he got what he deserved. Others sighed. How could a good young master of a wealthy family end up like this? Silas came home that very night. The moment he walked in, I saw the dark circles under his eyes. It seemed that he didn't move to the apartment near the company to avoid me. He was just really busy. He was clearly stunned when he saw me waiting for him to eat. An inexplicable awkwardness spread between us, two people who were no longer husband and wife. The bullet comments were still watching the fun and not thinking it was a big deal.
Does no one say it? I think the gentle, restrained man and the spoiled little girl are so cute together. Hurry up and talk, clear up the misunderstanding, and then get physical. Girl, is the repressed man just gonna have no screen time at all?
We finished dinner in silence. Silas seemed very tired. After chatting with me for a few words, he planned to go upstairs to rest. I went upstairs with an ulterior motive. I put on the nightgown my best friend had bought me when we first got married. The bullet comments exploded.
Wait, baby. You're gonna go clear up the misunderstanding with your husband in this? Wife is heaven. Wife is earth. Men have to stand tall and support everything. The hero opens his eyes and sees this, and both brothers will wake up.
My face turned bright red. You guys watch your words, stop saying such bold things. Silas seemed to be really asleep. I tiptoed open the door and walked in. Then I squatted down beside his bed and looked at him carefully. For some reason, I even thought the dark circles under his eyes were handsome. Silas suddenly opened his eyes. Our gazes met. The air froze. His gaze slowly moved from my face and fell on the nightgown I was wearing, one with barely any fabric on it. I saw his pupils shrink sharply. Then he closed his eyes and opened them again, making sure he wasn't dreaming.
Iris.
His voice was hoarse, laced with the laziness of just waking up. What are you doing? My brain was working at lightning speed. In the end, I decided to throw caution to the wind. Looking at you. Silas was silent for 2 seconds.
Looking at me dressed like this?
There was another silence. Silas suddenly sat up, wanting to grab a blanket and wrap it around me. I stopped him. Silas. His movements paused. I don't like Jasper anymore. His eyes changed a little. I went on. I did once, but that was because I thought it was him who saved me when I was a child. Silas's hand stiffened slightly.
But I know the truth now.
It was you who saved me. Silas was silent for a long time. So long that I thought he wouldn't say a word. He suddenly raised his hand, and his thumb gently brushed the corner of my eye. I only then realized I was crying again. Sigh, I couldn't help it. My father always shouted at me when I was a child, which made me cry easily whenever my emotions got a little intense now. It's called emotional incontinence, I guess. I suddenly hugged him. Silas, you're such a good man. I'm sorry for you. I made you suffer so much grievance. Really sorry. Silas didn't say a word, but his big hands patted my back in comfort. He said slowly, his voice drawn out. Every time you saw Jasper, your eyes would light up. Every time you refused me, I thought you were saving yourself for him. After I got into the car accident, you suddenly became good to me. I was afraid it was for him. His voice was as calm as if he was talking about someone else's business. Iris, I don't want to be your second choice, and I don't want to stop you from pursuing the person you like. My heart ached sharply. This was his explanation for asking for a divorce. I held back the soreness in my eyes and said each word earnestly. No, you're not my second choice. Silas stared at me, something surging in his eyes. By now, I should have recognized my own heart. I really had fallen for Silas. I loved his gentleness, his tolerance, his willingness to be my safe haven. Silas was in a daze for a long time, and in the end, he just tightened his arms around me. I buried my face in Silas's chest, listening to his strong heartbeat, and suddenly thought of something. I looked up. Actually, I was the one who spiked the drink that night. Silas didn't react much.
I know.
I was shocked. You knew? Silas nodded.
The drug that night wasn't strong enough to make me lose control. The only one who's ever made me lose control from start to finish is you.
The bullet comments urged me.
All right. The misunderstanding is cleared up. Time to get down to business. The repressed man. Thanks for waiting, everyone. No more cold showers tonight. Lol. Everyone. Type. Older men are the best.
After a year, I felt the madness of that night again. Sure enough, the bullet comments were right. A man who's been repressed for a long time is terrifying. We didn't care about the 30-day divorce cooling off period at all. This divorce was obviously not going to happen. After Jasper's matter was settled, Silas suddenly asked me if I wanted to go back to school. My brain short-circuited for a second. Silas held me in his arms and said slowly, "All the other children in your family have studied abroad. I found out that you wanted to study design back then, but your father didn't allow it. Do you still want to go now?" An inexplicable soreness welled up in my chest. This long-lost feeling of being valued and cared for was simply too good. I buried my face in his chest and mumbled, "I do." Silas's hand stroked from the back of my neck to the base of my spine. It tickled. I couldn't help but act coquettishly. "Honey, then you have to pick me up from school every day, okay? Otherwise I'll be upset." Silas laughed deeply, his voice mellow and rich. "You're still young. Your little troubles are also little. Our Iris has finally learned to act coquettishly with me." My face turned red, and I hurried to get out of his arms. But he suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me gently, making me fall back into his arms again. I muttered softly, "So I have to rely on you for everything from now on?" Silas thought for a moment, stared into my eyes, and said seriously,
A man is like the east wind. You can borrow it, but you can't rely on it forever. I want you to stand on my shoulders, but I don't want to see you take me as your only lifeline.
Bullet comments.
Everyone take out your phones and type. Older men are the best.
Silas suddenly pulled me closer to him. I couldn't help but gasp softly. He asked with concern. What's wrong? I glared at him. I checked this morning. It's still a little swollen. Does it hurt? I complained in a low voice. It doesn't hurt if you don't touch it. Silas smiled and nodded.
All right, I'll be gentler next time.
Snow suddenly started falling outside the window. I jumped up and pointed outside, clamoring to go play in the snow. Silas agreed. We only played for half an hour, and the snow had already covered our hair. I stared at him in a daze.
Silas, do you think this looks like how we'll be when we're old?
He stared at me earnestly.
No.
I froze, about to criticize him for not understanding romance. Silas pulled me into his arms, resting his chin on the top of my head.
When we're old, we'll move to a place where winter is long. Every morning when we wake up, the first thing we do is check if the snow has covered the yard. If you clamor to build a snowman, I'll build it with you. If you're cold, I'll warm you up.
He paused, then let out a low laugh.